You know, the challenge of internationalization is the cost of doing business. And when we are using very expensive consultants, when we are using very expensive capital, we will not be competitive. And when we are not competitive, the economic challenge, the unemployment challenge, does become a reality.
Irrespective of what will happen, the outcome of the court process, let our people remain peaceful. Faith that our judiciary will protect and uphold the Constitution of Kenya and will exercise fairness and give justice to Rigathi Gachagua and his supporters. That is our prayer. But I want to ask for peace, more so to my people of the Mount Kenya region. Please remain peaceful. Love one another. Stay well with all other regions and communities. They have not wronged us. They are our friends. Kenya is bigger than all of us. And we don't have another Kenya. We only have one Kenya. And I want to say, irrespective of what will happen, the outcome of the court process, let our people remain peaceful and build our country. A time will come for us to speak. Chiefs and assistant chiefs, polisi, tafadhali msikubali hii pombe ilikuwa naua watoto wetu irudi. Ni kazi kubwa sana tunafanya. Na kwa kitu you may push Rigathi Gachagua around, but please let the work that he did for 2 years of saving the boy child remain. Leaders come and go. Okay, junajua kuna watu walikuwa wanasema na huyu Rigathi Gachagua hana wafuasi Mlima Kenya. Mbona watu watoki kwa barabara? Hawakishi moto, hapigi kelele. Hiyo si tabia yetu. Sisi si watu ya kwenda barabara. Sisi si watu ya kuwakisha tai, sisi si watu ya kupiga kelele. Sisi tukiona tunanyama. Iko siku tunafanyanga vile natakikana. Jumbe mmeona siku hizi hampewi nafasi kuongea. Kwa sababu ile tabia mfanya pale bunge imekasirisha raia. But I want to ask for peace. More so to my people of the Mount Kenya region. Please remain peaceful. Love one another. Stay well with all other regions and communities. They have not wronged us. They are our friends. Kenya is bigger than all of us. And we don't have another Kenya. We only have one Kenya. Wajumbe mmeona siku hizi hampewi nafasi kuongea. Kwa sababu ile tabia mfanya pale bunge imekasirisha raia. Kati kwa ndoji. Ndio yule anashikwa mara tu kile kutaka kubaya rangi.
Tafadhali, kama nyinyi ni madaktari, angalia maslahi ya madaktari. Haiwezekani kuwa wewe ni daktari na wewe unachangia kule kunyanyaza madaktari wenzako. Tunapatia ilani ya kwamba hii strike itaendelea hadi wa county wafanya ambao wafanya promotion. Ikibidi tutashika wa raia. Tunaleta raia, tunaandamana na raia kwa sababu raia ndio wanaumia. Inawezekanaje raia atoke hapa hakuna daktari anaenda kununua dawa? Haiwezekani. Ni jambo la kushangaza sana. Hawa governors wenye wamekuja mulo wa mwisho inaonekana kwamba kuna shida. All governors wenye wamekuja mulo ya mwisho wana shida apart from governor wa West Pokot.
Tumekuwa na mkutano na madaktari wetu ambao wanafanya Baringo County kutoka Baringo County Referral Hospital, madaktari kutoka kule Eldamaravine, Chemoligot, Kabartonjo na hao wengine wote ambao ni members wa KMPDU. Sababu tuko hapa leo ni kuanzisha rasmi mgomo wetu ambao tulikuwa tumepeana ilani tarehe 18 mwezi huu wa Oktoba. Tukapatia county ile strike notice from 18th, 7 days strike notice, waweze kutuita mkutano kuangalia yale maswala ambao tulikuwa nayo ya CBM. Jambo la kwanza ni promotions na jambo ya pili ni redesignations, ile kupandishwa vyeo kwa madaktari ambao wamehitimu kuwa specialist kutoka vyuo vikuu mbalimbali. Sasa tunasema hivi, tumeona udhaifu mwingi sana kutoka kwa management ya Baringo County kwa sababu tulipeana ilani, tulikuwa kwa strike ambao iliisha mwezi wa 3, na katika ile strike kulikuwa na return to work formula. Na hiyo return work formula ilikuwa inaagizia mambo ya kupandishwa vyeo, promotions, mambo ya insurance cover for all the healthcare workers including doctors. Lakini hii county wamekataa kufanya yale mambo. Tukakuja tukawaitisha mkutano ambao wamekuwa wakisongesha. Tunafaa kukutana leo, wanatafuta sababu yoyote ya kutokutana na sisi madaktari ambao ni viongozi wa madaktari. Wanasema tukutane next week. Next week inafika, hakuna mkutano. Mara 3 ambapo wameweza kusongesha yule mkutano na mpaka leo hatujakuwa na mkutano yoyote. Kwa hivyo tunasema hivi, sisi kama madaktari, sisi kama the specialist, the highest, the most specialist force in Baringo County in the healthcare sector, tumeanza mgomo wetu leo rasmi kuanzia leo kuendelea na mbele, hakuna daktari yeyote ambaye atakuja pale kwa clinics, hakuna daktari yeyote ambaye atakuwa pale kwa ward, na kama ingewezekana mtafute tu services other counties, kwa sababu hapa Baringo County hakuna services zozote. Wale watu ambao tuliweka kwa uongozi wahakikishe kwamba wananchi wanapata services za health, ambayo health ni priority, it's an emergency, it can't wait until tomorrow. Wameshindwa kazi na wamekataa kufanya kazi na tujui wako wapi. Kwa hivyo watu wajipange, na sisi tunasema poleni sana. Tunahuzunika kama nyinyi, hata sisi tunaumia. Sisi pia ni binadamu na tuko na haki zetu ambazo lazima zizingatiwe.
Nashikika sana kwa mtoto wangu, alikuwa ameenda harusini na wenzake. Kufika pale harusini, sasa vile kucheza na wenzake, mbele kutoka askari. Sasa vile wanakimbia wale vijana, akapigwa risasi, akaanguka na akafariki hapo. Na sasa ndio tungoja kwa postmortem, wameangalia, amepigwa risasi ya nyuma, ikatoka na mbele, imevunja mfupa hapa juu na mapafu na moyo, na akafariki hapo kwa hapo. Kwa hivyo naomba serikali, wale askari tutenda kitendo hiko wachukuliwe hatua.
Siku ya leo tuko hapa na familia ya Jimmy Masimor, na kijana huyu wa miaka 17 ilikuwa amepigwa risasi, na kulingana na yale ambayo tuliyapata ni kuwa kijana huyu alikuwa yuko harusini, na katika ile hali ya kuwa harusini kukatokea polisi, ambaye polisi wao sielewi kwa nini waliamua kutumia risasi na kumpiga huyu kijana. Na leo ilikuwa ni siku ya postmortem. Tumeweza kufanya postmortem na kweli tumethibitisha ya kwamba kijana huyu alikufa kupitia risasi ambayo alipigwa sehemu ya nyuma, ambayo ikatoka na mbele, kwa sababu ukiangalia ile entry na exit unaona exit ni kubwa. So kulingana na daktari ni kuwa alipigwa risasi ya nyuma, ikatoka na mbele, ikapasua sehemu ya lungs, na kwa sasa tu tunamalizia hiyo process ya postmortem. Lakini kwetu kama shirika la Haki Afrika ni kusema ya kwamba tunaomba IPOA waingilie kati swala hili. Tulikuwa na wao wa investigate wale police officers ambao wametumia bunduki zao, ili tuweze kupata haki kwa familia.
Kwa kweli niliposikia hii simu ya hiki kifo kilinishangaza sana. Huyo mtoto alikuwa ametoka hata kwangu, ilikuwa Jumanne, alikuwa yuko kwangu, na ilipofika siku ya hiyo Jumamosi akasema kuna mahali kuna harusi. Nikamwambia wapi? Akasema Maweni, lakini tunaenda na wenzangu. Mimi nikamwambia ni sawa. Sasa alipoenda huko hata ilikuwa ni saa 4, ilikuwa haijafika usiku, walikuwa kwa ile harusi. Sasa mimi kinachonishangaza ni kuwa ile hatua walioichukua hawa polisi. Manake hawa watoto hawa wanasema kwa walikuwa wanakimbia, lakini mimi sidhani kwa wanakimbia. Manake hawa askari hawakwenda kuweka ile usalama pale. Hawa walikuwa wameenda kama vita. Manake kama wangelikuwa wameenda kwa kuweka usalama, wangeenda wakapiga za juu, wakasema hapa hatutaki fujo. Lakini hawa wameenda na kulenga tayari mtu. Wameenda na kulenga. Sasa je, hii ni haki kwa serikali hii? Ama hii ndio haki ya kazi ya polisi ambao wanastahili kufanya? Mimi najua kazi ya polisi ni aende akaeke usalama, lakini si kuwa aende akaue mtu. Sijasikia hivyo. Mimi nimesikia uchungu sana kwa hiki kitendo. Huyu kijana ni mtoto mdogo. Kijana wa miaka 17 ambaye anasoma darasa 7. Ndoto zake zote kuanzia saa hii zimepotea. Zile ndoto zake ambazo alikuwa yuko nazo, saa hii hakuna ndoto yake ambayo itatimia hata moja. Mimi naomba serikali iingilie kati, na hilo shirika pia liingilie kati. Hili jambo kufikia saa hii ni kama ambaye tumeweka vita kwa wananchi na hata kwa polisi. Maana yake hatutakubali tukiwa tutauliwa vijana wetu kabla sababu.
Well, my name is Matthew Zotamax. I'm a former Kenya football player, played for the top teams in the country. If I have to name them, I started at Reunion, Gor Mahia, then I proceeded to AFC Leopards. I had a 2-year stint in Uganda with the top club there, AC Sports Club Villa. Yes.
So how is the coaching for the goalkeeper?
Well, if I say this is one of the best things that has happened in this country, because this is something that is very rare. If you remember, it's only one that was we went through. Personally, I didn't take part in that one, which was just a plain goalkeeping coach course, which was done in 2018. And this is an elite coaching course, and it's one of the first ones in Africa, because the first one was in South Africa, and then this is the second one actually, which has been brought to us. It means a lot, whereby I'd love to thank the Federation for ensuring we are considered first when it comes to football.
What are your expectations after the end of the session?
The main reason, my expectations, one, we've been having, there's an erosion of a certain caliber of goalkeepers. If I say some of us grew knowing people like Francis Onyiso. Personally, I was a great fan of Charles Omondi Correa, who's in this class. I've seen those names. We have Lawrence Weibo. If I just have to name the few. And again, if you look at our recent performance in a game where we played Cameroon, we've been having people throwing words here and there about our goalkeeping. And these are things that I'm looking forward, if we get such training, we'll come and correct them.
Karibu nikuuliza coach wa timu gani, and then why are you here? What do you expect to gain?
Okay, naitwa Viviana Kinyi from Equity Queens, and nimekuja hapa. I want to gain more knowledge about goalkeeper training. Then I go outside, train my goalkeepers, because for women we need more. So as me as a pioneer, I need to train more women goalkeepers.
A lot of people don't think that women can be trainers or in the goalkeeping department. You've seen coaches and everything, and then you guys coming up as women who want to gain this knowledge. What was the inspiration? Okay, the inspiration was
when you see in most of the teams, including the national teams, there are no women goalkeeper trainers, and that was a challenge to me, because I've played for the national team. I played for the African Cup of Nations. Then, what will I do with the skills that I have? Now, what I needed was to gain more knowledge and come back and be the goalkeeper trainer of the national team, the clubs, and inspire the goalkeepers to. Were you a goalkeeper? Yes, I was a goalkeeper. I played for the national team. I went to the African Cup of Nations. I played against Nigeria. Yeah. Thank you. All right.
Hi. I'm fine, thank you.
So this is the second training in Africa. The one was in South Africa, and the Kenyan one is the second one about the elite training for the goalkeeper coaches.
Yes, I believe in 2018 was the first ever goalkeeper coaching course. It's been running by the German person, and officially from CAF, and I represent in FIFA, is the first one in Kenya, the first elite goalkeeping coaching course, and doing basically by CAF.
What do you think is important for everyone to take this courses?
Well, of course, goalkeeping is an item which has been very neglected over the years. Most of the time, they put the goalkeepers to training on the side of the field or behind the goals, and the things change. Many things change and evolve in terms of football, and goalkeeper is one of the more important items. It's a new concept about the goalkeeping. I put it that way. Originally, the goalkeeper need to be big, strong, and try to stop the ball, not to go into the net. This is the priority. But on the new hand, the new thing, going through the new elements, what is a technology, the goalkeeper is the one, yes, priority is to stop the ball, but basically is to stop the ball to initiate the attack. Before, I hope you understand the concept between the old system and the new system. Why? Because football evolves, goalkeepers grow. The situation of the back passes modified tremendously the type of training we prepare in the goalkeepers. Now, with technology coming in, it's even worse. I don't know if it's worse, it's a benefit or not. I have my personal opinion about the new system of technology. Will help and we need to adapt. But the way to catch the ball is the same, from 100 years ago up to today. Please, the goalkeeper is the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper is the one who's stopping the ball not to go see the goal, but in the same token is the one who is starting the attack. Saying that, technology helps to advise and promote this kind of situations.
Nowadays we have different goalkeepers. Like it's just you don't just stay in the post, but you can come and play with your defenders sharing the ball. So that is among the training.
Yes, it's one of the many elements. The goalkeeper need to be able to control the ball, to passing. The conditioning part need to get a reaction speed to anticipate and to block the ball. Originally, or many years ago, the teams playing with the sweeper, the last defender in the line of 4 or 3, whatever been decided. Now the sweeper is the goalkeeper, and things change, and it's all thanks to the media who promote in football everywhere in the world. And of course, the type of training changed a lot.
Anything you want to add?
Watu wamekuja pale na anapiga na asilimia anapiga kama hiyo. Hatuna shida na Masai, tutazungumza nayo. Sasa ile la pili iko mpaka sasa huyo lakini imefikia mahali.
Tumekuwa na matatizo ya kiusalama kwa sababu ya mzozo wa shamba na wa ardhi kati ya jamii moja iliyoko katika Rift Valley na jamii nyingine iliyoko katika region ya Nyanza ambayo iko Migori. Lengo letu kubwa ni kuhakikisha ya kwamba kuna usalama kwa sababu kwa siku ya hivi karibuni tumekuwa na visa vingi ya watu kudungwa mishale, wengine kupigwa risasi na wengine kupata matatizo ya kila aina. Na mambo haya hatuwezi kukubali. Kuwe na mzozo wa ardhi, kusiwe na mzozo wa ardhi, hatuwezi kukubali kamwe. Kwa vyovyote vile watu watumie mabavu eti kwa sababu wako na matatizo. Hatuwezi kubali. We can't use violence as a basis to lodge complaints. We can't. And therefore tumeweka mikakati kuhakikisha ya kwamba utovu wa usalama ambao umekithiri katika sehemu hii umekomeshwa. Na tutaanza kushika doria usiku na mchana katika hiyo sehemu kwa sababu ni location moja tu peke yake ambaye ni hii ambayo tuko hivi sasa. Angata Barikoi ndio iko na matatizo. Kwa hivyo tunataka kushughulikia kuhakikisha kwamba usalama katika sehemu hii umerudishwa na wananchi wanaweza kuendelea na shughuli zao bila kuwa na matatizo. Tutakuwa na kikao na wenzetu kutoka Nyanza ili tuweze kuzungumzia jinsi tunaweza kuhakikisha ya kwamba jamii hizi mbili ambazo zinazozana zinaweza kuishi kwa amani. Sisi hapa kwetu tumeweza kujipanga na tutapeleka ujumbe wetu huko Nyanza ili tuweze kuzungumzia na lengo letu ni moja tu, sheria na utengamano. There must be peace, security, law and order at whatever cost, and we are prepared to ensure that law and order is maintained. Kwa hivyo mimi nawauliza wananchi wa sehemu hii, Angata Barikoi na watu wa Transmara South, wawe na imani, wawe watulivu wakati ambapo serikali itakuwa ikifanya shughuli hiyo, kwa sababu ni wajibu wa serikali kuhakikisha ya kwamba wananchi na mali yao wanalindwa vile inavyotakikana, na hivyo tutafanya. Yale matatizo mengine ambayo wametaja tunayashughulikia, na kwa hivyo tumeweka mikakati, na mikakati hayo itaonekana. There is no room for criminals to roam around pretending to be engaging in all these things. No one has defeated government, so we shall deal with them the way inatakikana. Kwa hivyo mimi sitaki kufocus sana, kwa sababu tutaenda kukutana na wenzetu ili tuweze kuhakikisha ya kwamba wananchi wanaishi kwa amani katika sehemu hii. Wengi wamepata matatizo na tunasikitika. Wale ambao wameumia, ambao wako kwa hospitali, tunawaombea wapate nafuu haraka ili warudi waweze kutusaidia tujenge taifa pamoja. Hiyo ndio lengo na madhumuni ya sisi kuja hapa. Na tunawashukuru viongozi ambao wametuzungumzia, wametuelezea matatizo yaliyoko katika sehemu hii, na tunawaomba waendelee na msimamo huo. Waendelee kwa sababu hivyo ndio vile mambo yalivyo. Right now we are undertaking serious assessment of the number of injured. We have a rough figure, but I don't want to guess. The number of deaths could be 4 so far. The injuries are many. Tumeharibu chakula ndani ya shamba, na kuna accusations and counter accusations. This community limekuja imeharibu ekari kadhaa. Wale wengine pia kwa sababu ya hasira wameenda pia wakaharibu na mambo kama hayo. So we have enough security officers on the ground. The only thing is to reorganize ourselves, focus on the area of concern and expedite our process. That is why we are here, and we have undertaken that, and I can assure wananchi katika sehemu hii ya kwamba wasiwe na wasiwasi, tuweze kufanya kazi vile inavyotakana, na waomba washirikiane na maofisa wa usalama, na wao pia let them exercise restraint na tusibebe silaha. Manake yeyote atabeba silaha, awe ni kutoka Nyanza ama kutoka Rift Valley, sasa hiyo sheria itafanya kazi yake.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Testing. Are we there? Okay. Good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Ambassador Professor Julius Bitok, PS for Immigration and Citizen Services. And this afternoon, I'm glad to give you an update on where we are on passports. About 4 months ago, we had a story on the state of issuance of passports to Kenyans. And today is another day when we've gotten an opportunity so that I can give fellow Kenyans an update of how far we have been able to go in as far as issuing applications, processing and issuance of passports is concerned. I'm happy to note that at the moment, as of today, there is no backlog in application for passports at Immigration Directorate. This has come as a result of a number of initiatives, including we have been able to reform the issuance and delivery of passports as follows. One, we have been able to acquire 2 new machines. Initially, we had 2 machines that had a capacity of producing 3,000 passports per day. But today, after acquiring 2 additional machines, we are producing, or rather we have a production capacity of 10,000 passports per day for a day and night shift. Secondly, we have been able to procure enough booklets. Recently, we procured 1 million booklets that is going to last the Directorate up to next year, April 2025. Currently, it takes only 7 days to apply and get your passport processed. We've been working very hard. Initially, it used to take a long time, more than 1 month, 2 months, even up to 3 months to get a passport. But I'm glad to inform Kenyans that currently it only takes you 7 days to apply and get your passport. I want to say that as part of the reforms in the immigration department, we have also been able to redesign our processes, have 2 new banking halls, and increase the number of service points, service counters, from 14 to 42. We created a new southern wing, which was not there before, for only delivery of passports. Now, when you come to collect passports in immigration, you don't have to go to the same place where applications are done. You just go to the southern wing of Nyayo House, and that is where, within 5 minutes, you give out your tracking number. Within 5 minutes, you get your passport and you go. So, and right now, you do not need to know anybody. You do not need to call anybody. You just need to walk into an immigration office, and within 7 days of your application, you have your passport. You don't need to know anybody. You don't have to call anybody. You don't have to queue. And my queue, in terms of collection of passports, we're emphasizing that everybody who applies for their passport must collect their passport in person without having to delegate it. Because one of the challenges we realized before was that there are people there who come to collect on behalf of other people. But right now, we have a very strict system such that when you apply for your passport, you come yourself and pick your passport. We cannot allow you to delegate it to another person, because that creates a problem. And we have so far streamlined and ensure that everybody who collects their passports is the person who applied for the passports. And we have made our application and our service provision seamless. You just apply on eCitizen, you pay on eCitizen, it is processed, and within the 7 days, you have your passport. So it is really, really quite seamless. And we are really very happy that Immigration Department now is leading in terms of service delivery. Right now, Kenyans are very happy. We get a lot of feedback from our Facebook channels, our X channels, our WhatsApp groups. We hear everybody talking about efficiency in the Immigration Department. And we are happy to say that these are part of the reforms by Kenya Kwanza government, led by His Excellency President William Ruto, to ensure that Kenyan citizens are able to get their passports on time. And this goes a long way in promoting labor migration. Those people who are interested in going for studies, going for work outside, those people going for medical, people going for different reasons, even for tourism. A passport is no longer the problem. I want to call upon fellow Kenyans to apply their passports today and get them released in the shortest time possible. As I wind up, I also want to say that we still have a small challenge in collection. Currently, we have 90,000 uncollected passports, both in the headquarters and in our immigration offices around the country. I want to call upon fellow Kenyans to collect their passports. We have done 3 adverts in the newspaper so far, but people are not coming. We have sent messages to the 90,000 Kenyans whose passports are in immigration, and they are not coming. I want to take this opportunity to call upon my fellow Kenyans. Fellow Kenyans, let's collect our passports. Let us take time to go to the place where you applied for your passport, whether it is Nairobi, whether it is Nakuru, whether it is Garissa, whether it is Bungoma, whether it is wherever. Please collect your passport. Last but not least, we have also expanded our services. Recently, we have opened 2 offices. We opened an office in Kericho. We also opened an office in Bungoma. Soon we are opening an office in Garissa. We are opening also another office in Nyeri, in order to establish, or rather in order to ensure that Kenyans are able to access these services. And we're also planning to open another office in Lower Eastern, and we are considering opening it in Machakos, so that every region of Kenya at least has an immigration office that is able to serve the people of that region. And that way, we are able to ensure that the labor migration policy, the jobs outside there, which Kenyans are looking for, Kenyans are able to get their passports as soon as possible, and they're able to travel out there to get jobs, either in Middle East, in Canada, in Germany, in America, in Australia, and in many parts of the world where we now have bilateral labor agreements. Thank you. How's that story? Thank you very much, Gabriel. Once again, Maisha number is the way to go. And I want to say, when Kenya Kwanza came to power, my State Department has designed what we call Maisha number ecosystem, which has 4 components. The first component is Maisha number, given to children at birth. And that number is a lifetime number. When a child is born, you get a Maisha number printed on your birth certificate. That number is a number used in primary, you use in secondary, you use in university. It becomes your ID number, it becomes your KRA PIN, it becomes your driving license number, it becomes your number for every document that you will have. That is Maisha number. And for those people who are already 18 years and they are the ID number, your Maisha number is your ID number. Maisha number is equivalent to the Social Security number of the US. It is a 9-digit random number issued by civil registration for those who are born, and it is issued by NRB for those who are turning 18. That is Maisha number. The second component of the Maisha number ecosystem is Maisha card. Anybody now turning 18 is issued with a Maisha card, a smart card, a 3rd generation ID, which is very secure. It has a chip, and it carries your biometrics in the chip. You know, unlike before, when the ID was not having any biometrics in the chip, people would change the picture and be able to transact land, be able to withdraw people's money. But right now with Maisha card, it's a very, very secure card, to the extent that you cannot mess it up, you cannot rub or try to alter the details, because the institutions, including lands, including banks, are able to check in the chip to confirm your identity, and you cannot change anything that is written in the chip. So this is a very, very secure card that people cannot now steal identity of others and use it for transactions of any kind. The third component of Maisha number ecosystem is Maisha digital. Right now we have a digital ID. If you don't want to carry your physical card, your card can be uploaded to your phone so that you have a digital version of the card. So that digital version is what you are calling Maisha digital ID. So that whenever you go around to the banks, to other institutions to transact, you can use your Maisha digital card. You can use your phone around and be able to access government services, including e-citizen services, including any digital services that the government is offering. You can use your Maisha digital ID. So that is the virtual version of your Maisha card. The fourth component, of course, is what we are calling Maisha integrated database. We have been able to upgrade IPRS and be able to consolidate the entire data of the entire government, whether it is data from NRB on registration of persons, data from CRS, data from immigration, data from refugees, data from the entire government. This database is connected to KRA, it's connected to all the banks, it's connected to lands, it's connected to education, it's connected to security, to the police, such that the database is where you are able to do your eKYC. That is what you are calling Maisha Integrated Database. So we are 4-in-1 in Maisha number. Right now, we have been able to issue 2 million Maisha cards. We have been able to give out 2 million Maisha cards. And it is counting. Right now, we are working with Ministry of Education, State Department for Basic Education, to ensure that our students who are now completing their KCSE, those who have turned 18, the 965,000 or close to 1 million students will be able to get their Maisha cards before they leave school. And I want to say that this is really very transformative because, you know, identity is really critical in as far as ensuring that development and in ensuring as planning of activities is concerned. So I want to call upon fellow Kenyans, let's pick our third generation ID, let's get our Maisha number, let us ensure that we have a robust identity that is very secure, that is very, that's up to date in terms of technology, so that all of us can be able to be secure as a country. As I wind up, I want to say that we are very excited to be in this space, this point in time, because we have seen a transformation. And as you are aware, issues of identity were tried before. It started in 2005. The Kibaki government tried, they didn't succeed to reform the identity. Uhuru government tried with Huduma, they didn't succeed. But Kenya Kwanza government by William Ruto has succeeded to roll out the third generation ID. It is historical, and it's going to change really the way people are able to enjoy government services, the security of the nation is concerned, and the entire fabric of ensuring that we have an identity system that everybody else looks at. Last but not least, in terms of digital transformation, Kenya is in the map of the world. Right now, many African countries are asking themselves, how has Kenya done it? How has Kenya been able to manage the digital transformation? Right now on eCitizen, we have 19,000 services on eCitizen. And from only 380 services, right now we have 19,000 services. Kenyans can apply for passports, can apply for ID, can apply for birth certificate, can apply for driving license through eCitizen platform. And you no longer need to go and queue for government services in government offices. What you only need to do is you just register to be an eCitizen user. And you can apply for anything. You can apply for whatever activity, whatever service you need. And I tell you, Kenya is really going through digital transformation under the leadership of President William Ruto. Thank you.
Leaders, I was begging that you allow the chair to make her remarks. Simba ulisahau kufanya kitu moja, I think utafanya after Gladys.
For the work that you're doing on the ground for the country. Kusema pia, on the empowerment agenda, we have heard and we are here na tuko hapa. Hata kama ni kidogo, whatever we can, tufanye pole pole tusonge mbele. I think that one is there. In terms of moving to counties, SG, I think, and celebration next year. Yes. ODM will be 20 years old. Kwa hivyo, hakuna vile tunaweza kuwa 20 years old without, as a build-up to a 20th celebration, ambayo tutakuwa nayo for 20 years. Ile inapanga, lakini hiyo itakuwa build-up, tuende kila county na caravan, iyojulikane ODM has turned 20. Alafu tunafanya sherehe kubwa hapa kwa Ladwa na Singuna, sherehe itakuwa kubwa zaidi when we are finishing. So I think if we start by February, by August tutakuwa tumefanya 20 years celebration. So hiyo tusijali, tusonge tu mbele na hiyo. I think ita haizitosha, lakini sisi wote tukikaa ndani, these officials have here, plus you, plus our branches, tukishikana, we will be somewhere nearby. We are very clear as a party that we are a standalone team. But some of us are in government. Yes, they are. Because unajua serikali ilikuwa inaanguka. Si ndio? Mzee is a statesman. He couldn't let the country to fall. Vile uliona our experts wakaingia kule, because the people trust mzee, hiyo ndio imesimamisha nchi. Si wale watu, they trust mzee, imesimamisha nchi. So our experts are there. They're doing their work. What we can get, as part of my brothers and sisters. Hakuna nyumba we Kazaro utajulikana.
Aladwa.
Sema.
Unasema nani amekataa kusalamia?
Nani mjinga huyo? Hizi vitu kila mtu chama hapa.
Kwa nini mnagombana na nyinyi wote ni watu wa Western?
Kugombana.
Nyanza.
Mheshimiwa wanakusalamia. Salama sana. Sana.
No, mama.
Yeah.
Where is the secretary? You are ready? Wacha una introduce alafu secretary asome. Mkutano ni yangu.
Mkutano ni yangu. Kisii County. Akili. Kuja tu. Kuja hapa.
The lady, I'm the national chairman.
No, I'm just saying. I'm trying to give you preference.
Haya. Muko tayari?
I'll come with the
Muko tayari?
12, sawa.
Are you ready?
Muko tayari?
Let's go, Chia.
Okay. ODM.
Tuko tayari.
ODM.
Tuko tayari.
Asante sana watu wa media. Hawa ni wenyekiti wa chama chetu cha ODM kaunti 47 katika taifa letu la Kenya. Tulikuwa na mkutano na wale ambao walikuwa wameteuliwa kuwa wakubwa wetu katika chama. Wamekuja ili tuweze kujuana na ili tuweze kuzungumza na wasikie pia yale ambaye tunapitia katika kaunti zetu za ambazo tunaongoza. Nataka kuchukua nafasi kuwashukuru na kuwapongeza waliochaguliwa ambao mnaona wako mbele yetu. Tuko na mwenyekiti Gladys Wanga, tuko na Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, tuko na Deputy Party Leader Simbarati, tuko na Deputy Party Leader pia hapa Geoffrey Ososi na viongozi wa wale chairman wadogo ambao pia walikuwa wamechaguliwa katika nyadhifa mbalimbali kuongoza chama chetu cha ODM. Nataka kuwashukuru na kuwapongeza kwa kazi ambayo wamefanya siku ya leo. Ni mkutano ya hali ya kipekee. Hatujawahi kuwa na mkutano kama huu na tumefurahi kama wenyekiti kwa sababu yale tumeongea tukingojea yale ambayo yatasomwa na katibu wetu mkuu ambaye atasoma kwa niaba yetu. Nataka kushukuru tu kwa niaba ya wale machairman wote kusema asanti kwa wale officers wetu kutoka kwa makao makuu kuja kuwa na sisi siku ya leo, na tumekubaliana kuendelea mbele, tuwe na mikutano mbalimbali na tuwe na mkutano katika kule chini grassroots, tuona kwamba tumeimarisha chama chetu cha ODM kule chini. Na vile pia tunataka kuwashukuru kwa kutupatia mwelekeo mkuu ambaye tutakuwa nafuata kuanzia leo kuona chama chetu kinaendelea vizuri na kuongea kwa sauti moja. Nataka kusema asante na kuchukua nafasi hii kumkaribisha katibu wetu wa caucus Mheshimiwa Manyara ambaye ni mwenyekiti wa kaunti ya Nyandarua.
Asante Chair. My name is Dixon Manyara Mwangi, mwenyekiti wa chama cha ODM Nyandarua County, na vilevile katibu wa hiki kikundi ambayo ni Council of County Chairpersons, all the 47 from all the counties in Kenya. I now go straight to the press statement by the ODM chairpersons. Today, the 30th day of October 2024, the ODM party leadership held a meeting with the county chairpersons from all the 47 counties in the country under the auspices of the Council of County Chairpersons, COC. That is what we vilify it, for a brainstorming session at the consultations on various matters of national and party interest. The county chairpersons received a briefing from the National Elections Coordinating Committee, NECC, on the preparedness for the forthcoming grassroots elections. This follows the directive by the National Executive Committee of the party, that is NEC, early this month, that the party grassroots elections will be held in the month of November. The board will be releasing a formal schedule of the exercise across the country on or before the 4th of November. The planned exercise in Kwale County on 4th November has therefore been scheduled. Please note that one for avoidance of doubt. The leaders have further resolved to oppose the proposed amendments to the Constitution to extend the terms of elected leaders from 5 to 7 years and called on the ODM MPs and senators to shoot down the said proposals in Parliament. The meeting further directed its MPs to ensure there are no clawbacks to devolution and specifically resist any attempts to reduce the shareable allocation of revenue to the counties, as we have seen the Kenya Kwanza government trying. The chairs reiterated the need to retain the identity and ideology of the party as independent opposition political party founded on the values of social justice, devolution being the pillar. The meeting called on the unity of all its leaders and the need to speak in one voice on critical matters affecting the party to avoid confusing the party rank and file. The Council expressed confidence in the newly appointed national party officials, i.e. Her Excellency Governor Gladys Wanga as the national chairperson, Governor C. Barati, Abdul Nasir Sharif Nasir, as well as Senator Godfrey Ososi as the deputy party leaders, among others. The meeting also endorsed the appointment of the governor of Kisumu County, Professor Peter Anyang', as the acting party leader to lead in the absence of the substance party leader, His Excellency Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, who is the key person within the party, who is currently engaged in the campaign for the chairperson of the African Commission. Thank you and welcome to the party.
We can't hear you.
Speak up.
Can we get questions related to what the county chairs have said, just as respect to this organ of the party? Is there anybody else with another question? Thank you. You are welcome for lunch. You have done very well.
Piga picha moja hapa nani? Piga picha moja hapa. Piga. Dara mraba dai. Piga picha hapa. Piga picha moja hapa. Chairman Mombasa. Chairman Mombasa, uje chukue picha moja hapa. Lokubali? Akubali.
Nimekubali bwana. Wacha nivue miwani.
Barabara zile mapei. Ngoja kwanza kidogo.
Ngoja kidogo bwana.
Ngoja kidogo tu, acha zima tu. Akubali. Zima tu.
Mko tayari? May I take this opportunity to thank you all for your patience. We should have done this by 3 sharp, but we are happy that you are all here. And we have 2 critical issues that we wish to address today. And one of those touch on a matter of serious public concern. That is the matter of IEBC. All Kenyans are very concerned that this key institution is not in place. And if anything happens, there will be serious political ramifications because of lack of this key institution. In fact, in the recent ongoing proceedings of impeachment, the matter of IEBC came in, whether we had a body to determine the suitability or eligibility of the next deputy president. And many Kenyans are very, very concerned about that. Many are saying, God forbid, if anything happened to the president, what would happen? We would have a serious crisis. So today we want to address that key issue of the delay and the attempted derailment of the reconstitution of IEBC, which is the only institution mandated by our constitution to deal with matters elections. The other issue that is of great concern to many Kenyans is the issue of abductions and state-sponsored abductions, enforced disappearances, and extrajudicial killings. This will be the more elaborate issue that we'll delve into today. And I'll start with the first part of IEBC. Then my colleagues will do the rest. Ladies and gentlemen, contrary to Dr. Ruto's allegations that critics of his Kenya Kwanza regime are disseminating falsehoods, fake news, and propaganda about the state of abductions in our nation today, our beloved country is at risk, and all of us are at risk. As the People's Loyal Opposition, we would like to address these crucial issues, and we would, in fact, be showing that it is not the opposition or other people who are propelling fake news or lies. In fact, it is Ruto himself who has perfected the art of deceit. On the on the IEBC selection panel, we would like Kenyans to know that a week ago, the High Court directed the opposition parties to conduct elections in accordance with the IEBC Amendment Act 2024 and to have a nominee in place within 48 hours of this judgment, and in any event, not later than 3 p.m. on the October 24th. That was the deadline we were given, and as parliamentary parties, we did meet to address this issue under the leadership of His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. The opposition parliamentary parties expeditiously met and nominated Dr. Koki Muli in order to beat the 3 p.m. October deadline. The name of Dr. Koki Muli was formally forwarded to the Parliamentary Service Commission the same day. The clerk, and this is very, very surprising, the clerk, together with the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Wetangula, have since refused to forward the names of the 9 nominees to the President for gazettement within the stipulated 7 days. This has really surprised us because after we met and we moved with speed to ensure compliance with the court directives, there has been no movement in Parliament deliberately to delay this process. This is meant, we believe, to allow the National Liberty Party nominee, who is, we believe, an agent of the Kenya Kwanza government, to appeal and to further delay this process. So we are here today as the opposition to demand immediate gazettement of the IEBC selection panel, who should move with speed to put in place the new IEBC, and we should stop these shenanigans and sideshows that have caused the delay for all this period. Because the delay in having the new IEBC places the future of a democracy at stake. And I think after 2 years of William Ruto's leadership, we can declare today that William Ruto is indeed an existential threat to our democracy. And this interference with this key institution further confirms that. I would like now to invite my brother, Honorable Kioni, to take us to the second part on the abductions. Thank you.
Indicated by my colleague, the next issue that we would want to address is the issue of police phone spying, state-sponsored abductions, hijackings, and extrajudicial killings. An investigative study by the Nation Media Group exposed what has long been suspected by Kenyans, and that is Kenyan police, in collusion with the telecommunication companies, have illegally and illegally accessed data belonging to Kenyans. This is the most blatant example to date that the Kenya Kwanza government has captured all our state institutions. The Constitution of Kenya, Chapter 4, the Bill of Rights, Part 2, and Rights and Fundamental Freedoms, under Article 31 on privacy, specifically states that every Kenyan has the right to privacy, which includes right to have their person, human and property searched. Every person has the right to privacy, which includes the right not to have their person, home or property searched, their possessions seized, information relating to their family or private affairs unnecessarily required or refused, or the privacy of their communication infringed. Further, the Data Protection Act of 2019 gives effect to Article 31C and D of the Constitution and provides for the protection of personal data by requiring organizations to obtain consent from individuals before collecting, using, or disclosing their personal information. It also gives individuals the right to access, correct, and delete their personal information. The law applies to data controllers, data processors, including government agencies, internet service providers, and even the supermarkets. Despite constitutional protections, that these illegally obtained records have been used to track down, harass, threaten, abduct, and support extrajudicial killings of Kenyans seen to be anti-Kenya Kwanza regime and its leaders. We condemn all telecommunication companies, including Safaricom, Airtel, and Telecom Kenya, as well as any mobile network operators, for illegally providing location records and data to security agents. Please be aware that you, too, will be held criminally culpable and responsible for the harassment of Kenyans and the abductions and the extrajudicial killings. I will now invite our leader, our official opposition leader, and the leader of the People's Opposition to continue with the statement.
The significant increase in arbitrary arrests, enforced disappearances, torture, and extrajudicial killings should be deeply of concern not only to law-abiding Kenyans, but also the international community and our development partners. If it was not clear before, the release of the investigative report, the lifting of the fog, or lawyers say lifting the veil, reviews of the Kenya Police Service motto of utumishi kwa wote, quote unquote, or service to all, quote unquote, has been substituted by utumishi kwa Kenya Kwanza, Kenya Kwanza, quote unquote. Since June, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights and the Police Reforms Working Group have reported 23 murders, 34 forcibly vanished individuals, and 164 arrests, including those of Bob Njagi, Aslam Longton and Jamil Longton, who were kidnapped in Kitengela and released after 1 month. Denzel Omondi, a JKU art student, who was among the demonstrators who stormed the parliament on June 25th, was abducted 2 days later. 9 days later, his tortured body was discovered floating in a Juja quarry. John Juguna Kuria, a civic educationist based in West Pokot, was reported missing for 12 days before his mangled body was discovered discarded. Over the past 3 days, Maverick Aoko and Boniface Mwangi have been kidnapped from their houses. After being freed, Mwangi was accused of inciting others. It's still not clear where Ms. Aoko is. The most alarming is that public mortuaries in Thika and Nairobi are requesting court orders to dispose 201 unclaimed dead bodies that the police have dropped off in the past year. Joining the growing international condemnation, the Independent Medical Legal Unit, IMLU, and the World Organization Against Torture, OMCT, have denounced this regime for gross human rights violations that amount to apparent breaches of international humanitarian treaties that Kenya has ratified, especially the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the Conventions Against Torture and Enforced Disappearances. As the opposition, we demand that the security services from the National Intelligence Service, NIS, under the leadership of Nordin, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, and the DCI, led by Mohammed Amin, the Anti-Terrorism Police Unit, ATPU, under the leadership of Said Kiprotich, the Serious Crimes Unit, led by Michael Sang, Joseph Boynet, the Deputy National Security Advisor, State House, and the Crime Research Intelligence Unit, CRIB, led by John Onyango, ought to be held accountable for their violations of Kenyans' rights and made criminally responsible. Because at the end of the day, all public officers holding the positions I've mentioned are not above the Constitution. Furthermore, their immediate superiors, the Inspector General of the Kenya Police and the Minister for Interior and National Administration, should be held accountable for overseeing a service that has gone rogue with a focus on serving the interests of a few political elite at the expense of Kenyan security. However, it is our contention that the President of the Republic of Kenya carries the biggest responsibility for police phone spying, state-sponsored abductions, hijackings, and extrajudicial killings. Despite overwhelming evidence, including that of the Deputy President, Mr. Rigathi Gachagua, during the impeachment trial, Mr. Ruto continues to claim that he is not aware of any such incidents. Ruto further says that these abductions, extrajudicial killings, are fake news and propaganda that is hurting our nation. We want to make it clear to Mr. Ruto that it is actually his thought-out efforts to revert Kenya to a police state that are hurting our nation and our nation's image, locally and abroad. The buck stops with him. Mr. Ruto should resign with immediate effect for violating his oath of office to be faithful and bear true allegiance to the public, to the Republic of Kenya, and that he would obey, preserve, and protect this Constitution of Kenya. That was the oath of office. Lastly, we take this moment to pay tribute to the brave Nation Media group journalists for releasing their investigations in a time of such great danger for practitioners. Regardless of media outlet, you have been brutally attacked by security agents. We understand your equipments have been illegally confiscated. We know that a fair number of you have been taken to court and gag orders issued stopping you from publishing on certain topics, organizations, or personalities. Nonetheless, you steadfastly adhere to the Kenyan Code of Conduct for the practice of journalism. By doing so, you have demonstrated that the fundamental yearning for democratic liberties, including access to honest and fact-based news, will never be destroyed, even by the most brutal dictatorship. Thank you very much, and may God bless our country, Kenya. I just need to probably highlight a living example of what is happening in the country with regard to disenfranchising Kenyans. The people of Banisa in the northeast and the people of Magarini, for example, have been waiting for by-elections. And for the people of Banisa, I think it's going to the second year, or probably over 3 years. I have here, for example, Mr. Samuel Kombenzai. Why don't you stand here? Mr. Samuel Kombenzai has been waiting to run for the by-election in Magarini on a Wiper ticket, which is an Azimio ticket. But there's nothing happening. What instead we are witnessing is procrastination, attempts to say, because the most illogical thing I've heard in the last 24 hours is a statement by my friend Weta saying that they want, first of all, to dispense with the Gachagua hearings before he can forward the names of the 9 nominees to President Ruto to Gazette. Because he said, if he sent out, as we acted, expeditiously, as my colleague has mentioned, then he said time would have started running. It is obvious. They want to prolong this whole thing about establishing a new IEBC. We say it plainly so that even our diplomatic colleagues, heads of missions accredited to Kenya, please take note. I heard the American ambassador to Kenya, Meg Whitman, express concern. In fact, I think she even visited the IEBC. It is clear Mr. Ruto does not want an IEBC. I think he should tell us why he doesn't want a new IEBC. Asanteni. Kama kuna swali, kwa sababu usipojidhibiti basi itakuwa ngumu sana. Nakushukuru kwa swali lako. Kwa jumla tumekusanyika hapa leo ili tutoe taarifa ambayo tumesoma kwa lugha ya Kiingereza kwamba Wakenya hawaridhiki kamwe kwa sababu ya mambo haya matatu. Jambo la kwanza, kwa sasa yapata mwaka wa tuendelea sasa mwaka wa 3 hivi bila kuwa na tume ya uchaguzi. Na tumeweka wazi kwamba Bwana Ruto, rais wa jamhuri kwa wakati huu, ni kama hana nia kabisa la kuhakikisha kwamba Kenya inapata tume mpya. Yaliyofanyika nyuma ya yote twaelewa, lakini sasa kuna umuhimu mkubwa sana. Jina la Koki Muli limepelekwa mbele kwa sababu jambo hili lilikuwa limepelekwa kwa mahakama wengine walikuwa wakitaka kulaumu wanaazimio na Wiper wakati ule, lakini wiki moja iliyopita uamuzi umetolewa na mahakama kwamba yule ambaye alikuwa anasongeshwa mbele atoki kwa chama ambacho kimewakilishwa bungeni. Kwa hivyo ikatubidi sisi wenyewe tukusanyike haraka sana, kwani tulikuwa tumepatiwa muda mdogo sana, hadi saa 9 masaa 48 tumtafute ambaye atawakilisha kwa upande wa Political Parties Liaison Committee, kwa sababu bwana Adam Zolo alikuwa amepita wa ODM kuwakilisha bunge. Sasa Koki Muli tukapeleka jina lake, lakini tangu wakati huo hakuna jambo ambalo, kwa sababu ni Parliamentary Service Commission, amini katibu wake bwana Nyengenye akaandika barua akisema basi ili acheleweshe mambo haya, hata tu kuweka kwa taarifa kila mmoja wenu hao watu 9 ambao umeteuliwa kama wana panelists, kila mmoja wenu atoe taarifa yake, CV hoizo CV, naonyeshe vile amefikia kiwango hiki hadi kuteuliwa. Sio kazi ya bwana Nyengenye kuuliza watu maswali kama hayo. Kazi yake ilikuwa tu ni kupeleka orodha pamoja na Weta, wapeleke orodha kwa rais. So that was a delaying tactic. Jambo la aibu sana hili. Tukiwa chini ya ulinzi wa katiba ya 2010, hatuwezi tukaruhusu mambo kama haya jameni. Upuzi uishe ili tuwe na tume mpya. Kwa sababu tukiwa na tume mpya, tuna bwana Sama Wanzai hapa ambaye anatamani kupata tikiti ya Wiper ili akagombanie kiti cha Magarini. Mimi mwenyewe niko na historia ya Magarini by elections. Nilimkampenia aliyespika sasa hivi bwana Amason King. Kulikuwa na by election, nikaenda nikampigia kampeni kabisa, akachaguliwa kama mbunge wa Magarini, na leo ni spika wa bunge la Senate. Kwa hivyo watu wa Magarini na watu wa Banisa, na kuna wengine wengi ambao ma MCAs wengine wameaga dunia, na watu wanataka wapate huduma kutoka kwa hao viongozi. Kwa hivyo swala hilo nadhani tumelitamka vizuri. Jambo lingine hii mambo hii. Ngoja mwenzangu aongeze juu ya kina Safaricom hawa. Hatuna hujuma, hatuna kwa hujumu. Lakini Wakenya wajue kwamba mambo haya, ukiona kama mwenzako ananyolewa, wewe tia kichwa chako maji. We are doing it for the good of this nation. Eugene.
Asante. Wakumbuka tulikuwa na mambo ya NADCO kule, na vile vile kulikuwa na mapendekezo ya kwamba mashirika yanayohusika katika kudhulumu wa Kenya tutawagomea kama wananchi, yani ile boycott. Na kati ya yale mashirika ilikuwa Safaricom. Pia kulikuwa na benki ya KCB, wakati kumekuwa na kashfa ya mafuta ile edible oils, bilioni 16 zimechukuliwa na marafiki wa Ruto kupitia KNTC, kupitia KCB. Tulikuwa tumesema kama wa Kenya tutahakikisha ya kwamba haya mashirika yataajibika. Na leo kwa hii statement yetu tunataka tuambie kina Safaricom na wale wanatumika na polisi in aiding and abetting the abductions, the enforced disappearances, the extrajudicial killings, they shall be held accountable by the people of the Republic of Kenya. Wale watoto ambao walikuwa na simu wakiingia bungeni wakiwa na maji na bendera, ni ile teknolojia ya Safaricom ilitumika kuweza kupata watoto hawa. Wengi kufika sasa wamewawa na hii serikali. Na sio Kenya tu, nchi jirani ya Tanzania juzi tumesikia kiongozi wa upinzani Tundu Lissu kule walitumia teknolojia kumtafuta alipokuwa, na akafanyiwa yale madhambi ambayo alitaka kuuawa. Leo hii hatuongee tu ya majenzi, hata sisi kama viongozi wa upinzani twajua ya kwamba simu zetu are being tracked. Twajua ya kwamba vile Tundu Lissu aliwekwa hatarini kule Tanzania, mashirika yanayotumika hapa na teknolojia yao wataajibika kwa Wakenya if any harm comes to Kalonzo Musyoka ama Kioni ama Wamalwa ama viongozi wengine. Twajua ya kwamba mko mnatumika na mnasaidia kupeana hiyo teknolojia na kupeana palipo wale ambao wanatafutwa na polisi. So you shall be held equally accountable for aiding and abetting the police in these abductions, extrajudicial killings, and enforced disappearances.
Okay.
Asante.
So, I think that's okay. Yes, ma'am. Everybody is concerned. I tell you, the international community. You know, human rights are universal. And I saw the statement by Sister Mother Karua. That latter part I didn't see. But where she was talking about a specialized group, actually she called it a community, a single community. No? Single community. Ask yourself. Ask yourself. And we don't want to talk language that can divide Kenyan communities. But we also know that people become desperate, want to rely on their kinsmen to preserve themselves in office. If there be such a thing, which Mother referred to, and she had credible evidence, Mother is senior counsel like me, right? And behind her, standing behind her, was Chief Justice Emeritus. Let me tell you, those of you who know the champions of human rights in our country, Dr. Willie Mutunga stands out top. When they abducted Boniface Mwangi, that news was all over the world. Because Boniface Mwangi has come out as a champion for human rights. Kwa hivyo mambo mengine, hayo mengine Wafula wamesema, ni ya wale ambao wameyazungumza ama wameyazungumzia. Hatuna la kuongeza wala la kutoa. Kama kuna lingine, another question. Mimi nawasihi maseneta wetu. Kwa sababu hoja hii imetokana na Senator wa Nandi. Namsihi kabisa huyo seneta awache mchezo huo. Yani mengine ni mchezo. It cannot be anything else. That matter was brought even before NADCO, if you remember. And we dismissed it. So please, this is what we call diversionary talk. Kenyans are waiting to see which leader anataka kujiongezea siku moja ya mamlaka, na tayari wanaumizwa na wenye mamlaka wakati kama huu. Kwa Wakenya wamekataa kata mambo haya. Wamekataa. Ajabu ni kwamba ni kama kulikuwa somebody quoted kwamba a lot of them 60% wanataka hiyo mageuzo. Absolutely no. Sisi kama wapinzani ambao tunapenda nchi yetu sana, I'm quite sure if there's one thing Kenyans will come out from the villages, from everywhere, and oppose, niyo kitu ya term extension, ati kutoka kwa MCA mpaka kwa president, they can see through this. They're already fed up. They're actually waiting, when will this 2027 happen? If you live in this country. People hawana chakula. Watoto waendi kwa vyuo vikuu. There is chaos, literally. If you ask yourself, somebody told me, all the scandals from the First Republic ya Mzee Kenyatta, ongeza ya Mzee Moi, ongeza ya Kibaki, there are very few, ongeza ya Uhuru, hiyo maskando yote yale ambayo Kenya Kwanza yameanzisha wakati huu ni ajabu. Come to think of it, this is not the Kenya we all aspire to live in and prosper in. So we shall say no bila chuki, upendeleo. Hatuna ubaya na mtu yeyote. Kwanza kijana kama huyu Nuruddin Haji, baba yake the late Senator Yusuf Haji was one of our most distinguished leaders. He ended up as a senator, Senator Yusuf Haji. Na msii kijana yetu huyo afuate hiyo nyayo ya baba yake. Hii mambo mengine haya, hatukubali. We will be held accountable. Kwa hivyo, wewe kama unataka kuwa senator, Madam TV47, you have to follow the katiba. Kama wamekutuma, waambie. Thank you.
Take a last one.
Last one. Yeah. You see now, again we must remind ourselves that this is it's a lawful situation under Article 37. The right to demonstrate, to picket. The Gen Zs did us proud. We keep on repeating. And you may think that they are probably done over with. Perhaps it could be the thing before the storm.
It's calm before the storm.
Sijamaliza. Wewe Fula. Yeah? The big calm before the storm. Thank you, Jeremiah. Sasa nimalizie kwa kusema kwamba we have been some positive critics have said sisi kazi yetu ni kukaa hapa na kutoa ma statement. We shall issue important statements like now, and we shall go to the people at the right time, and you'll be hearing about it. For the love of this country, we shall move. And those Kenyans, we know the majority of Kenyans are feeling the way we are feeling. In fact, we are speaking their language. Wafula, what was your question? What do you think? Well, as we speak. No, I know Jeremiah. I know Jeremiah will bury it now. All right? We have very decent people. These two gentlemen here, that's why I don't want to give them the floor. No, Azimio is there on paper. Coalitions disagree. Like, as Azimio, we disagreed on the impeachment motion. Our colleagues in ODM supported impeachment. They went on broad-based. In fact, even them, I can tell you, even Baba was surprised by the broad-based. But that's okay, all right? We stood out in opposition against that broad-based or bread-based government. We are, some of us, in court of Andani. And you know Andani, even in Safaricom, kila kitu, state capture. We have said it. But we have not said we are winding up Azimio. At least not yet. So, we will hold our leaders together, we hold together and ask ourselves very honestly, hatutaka kama divorce inakuwa messy and disorderly. Weta again, my friend said that one time. Yeah? No. We have to do things differently. And so, the freedom of speech, the freedom of association, wakati ukifaa, tuone mambo haya hawezi kuendelea vile yalivyo, we shall brief our people. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hii vitu yote ni yenye ama ingine ni ya Subaru. Haya, ukisema tuendelee tuendelea. Haya. Tugucamanitio muthi tatongoria a mung'ethaniro kutukienda kwarĩrĩria maũndũ merĩ kana matatũ marĩa makoretwo maritũhĩire ithuĩ aikari a bũrũri wa Kenya, na nĩmo maya. Wa mbere nĩ ũhoro wa gũkorwo atĩ tũtirĩ tũragĩa na mweke wa gũthura IEBC, na gĩtũmi kĩrĩa kĩgirĩtie tũthure andũ a kwambĩrĩria wĩra wa IEBC nĩ tondũ William Ruto na Speaker wa National Assembly na Clerk nĩ maregete kũgazette marĩtwa marĩa maneirwo makambĩrĩria mĩtaratara ĩngĩ mĩerũ ĩtarĩ ho watho-inĩ, na nĩkĩo tũkwendaga gũkũma ũhoro ũcio tondũ nĩ ũru mũno gũkorwo na bũrũri mĩaka ĩrathiĩ ĩrĩ rĩu tũtarĩ na IEBC. Tũtiũĩ nĩkĩ maretigĩra, na Kenyans mena bata wa IEBC ĩthondekwo, na nĩguo magĩciria ũrĩa magwĩka next institution ya IEBC ĩkorwo ho. Wa kerĩ, nĩ twarĩrĩria ũhoro wa Safaricom, ũhoro wa Airtel, na andũ arĩa angĩ makoragwo makĩ-provide the Airtel, the service providers, internet service providers, arĩa mambĩrĩirie gwĩtĩkĩra kũhũthĩrwo nĩ thigari na thirikari, makaneana information ya mũndũ, nĩguo mũndũ ũcio ahote kũrũmĩrĩrwo na anyitwo, na nyamario, na angĩ makoragwo. Na twaheana mũkana kũrĩ andũ acio, atĩ kahinda nĩ gagũkinya karĩa tũgũkorwo tũkĩmanengera ũhoro ũcio arĩ o ene, that we will hold them personally liable nĩ ũndũ wa maũndũ macio. Ũhoro wa data ĩrĩa ĩkoragwo thimũ-inĩ na kũrĩa kũngĩ ikoragwo, ona iria tũheanaga kũrĩa twandĩkaga mũndũ akĩingĩra nyũmba kana supermarket, ndĩagĩrĩire kũnengererwo kũrĩ mũndũ ũngĩ o wothe, tondũ the data protection ndĩtĩkĩrĩtie. Ona nĩ twacoka twauga atĩ ũhoro wa thirikari kuoneka ĩkĩambĩrĩria kũgiria andũ mĩeke ya gũcemania, ona mĩeke ya gwĩka maũndũ marĩa marĩ kuo, ona kũnyamaria twarĩa marahũra andũ kana maranyamaria andũ kũrĩa Kiambu, gũtransfer borithi tondũ tũrarĩ na mũcemanio Ndumberi kana kũrarĩ na mũcemanio Ndumberi, ona kwambĩrĩria gũthĩnio nĩ nyĩmbo iria tũinaga ta Gĩkũyũ, matigane na ndeto icio cia kũmathĩnia. Tũgũcina makĩendaga na matakwenda. Na ningĩ no wega kuga atĩ ũndũ ũrĩa ũngĩ nĩ atĩ thirikari ya Kenya Kwanza kũrĩ na ripoti twĩnacio kuma Kenya National Commission on Human Rights that kwĩna andũ moragĩtwo andũ 23 international communities ti maũndũ marĩa twĩnamo, 23 murders, 34 forcibly furnished individuals, 164 arrests including ya twagweta na andũ angĩ aingĩ, na ũhoro gakinya atĩ nginya mochari ya Kenya ya Thika na mochari ya Nairobi nĩ irahoya mweke metĩkĩrio mathike mĩĩrĩ ĩrĩa ĩrĩ kuo, tondũ mochari nĩ njihũru, ũndũ ũtarĩ woneka kuma 1963. Kĩrĩa tũkwenda kũmenya nĩ atĩrĩrĩ, no tũheo marĩtwa ma andũ acio marĩ mochari tondũ matwarirwo nĩ borithi, na borithi twĩre ciamarutire kũ na monekete moragĩtwo nĩkĩ. Maũndũ maya nĩmo maratũma tũcemanie, na no kuga rĩngĩ tũkoragwo tũkĩaria maingĩ maũndũ makoniĩ hatĩrĩrio kana kũhatĩrĩrio kwa Kenyans kũrĩa kũrathiĩ na mbere, na ningĩ tũnyitane nĩguo tũhote kweheria Ruto atweherere.
Maovu ya kitawala uje class ama una feel nitafite niingie online nitakusalimia kama kawaida.
We are here to launch our strike, and our issue is simple. We are sending this strong message to the government that our issue is simple: honor the return to work formula. There is no other way of calculating what was agreed and signed between the interministerial committee that was set up, IPUCCF, and the UASU officials. The issue is simple: honor the return to work formula. We have a recognition agreement with IPUCCF. We have items that need to be negotiated and agreed upon, and those items we agreed that we'll negotiate them within 1 month. The 1 month is almost over. We are being taken round in circles. Even the 7 to 10% that was agreed upon, it is now becoming a wild goose chase. Lecturers know how to calculate 7 to 10% to know what they're expecting. It is simple mathematics that even a primary school child can calculate. If you give them the figures and tell them give me 7% or 10%, they can calculate. How much more for lecturers who know their rights? So we are telling the government that we will not be scared by anything. All we want is the return to work formula to be honored. And let IPUCCF stop hiding behind courts when they are not honoring what they ought to honor. It's an abuse of the process of court. Courts must be respected. However, those who need to respect are those who are defying what they know they are supposed to do. So we are telling IPUCCF, just honor the return to work formula. That's all we are asking. Thank you.
Solidarity.
Forever.
Solidarity.
Forever.
We are Uwasu. You don't scare us. I want to say that the University Academic Staff Union members are on strike and have monitored the progress of this strike from Pwani to Rongo University, from Rongo to Turkana, from Turkana to Meru. It is 100% shut down. And I want to thank Dons for heeding the call of the union. Dons are the most learned people in any society. And if you can't pay them well, then who is this person you are paying well? Dons know how to calculate 7%. Dons know how to calculate 4% automatic annual increment. And you can't expect us to sit in a boardroom to massage figures. In our last meeting, the Vice Chancellor's Committee, Professor Mugendi, said that 4% has not been paid anywhere in the world. From that day, we have been doing research. And today I have data that there are cadre in the civil service that are paid even 8% automatic annual increment. And I'm going to table. We have analyzed the payroll of public service, and we have realized that their automatic annual increment ends at 8%. Oh, forgive me, Dons, I negotiated for you a low percentage of 4% or merely 4%. People are earning automatic annual increment to the tune of 8%. I have the data with me here. And what I'm talking about is from Salaries and Remuneration Commission. Who gave them those automatic annual increment? Why is it when it comes to Dons, you don't want to give them? I have the data from the public service, CBA, of 2023-2024, and even what is implemented from 1st July. If they call me, I will table, and you'll be embarrassed. You have been eating from our sweat. We are not going to allow you. No. You have been budgeting for 4% automatic annual increment, and you have not been paying our members. We will demand that you pay our members their arrears you have denied them for all those years. We are going to demand. Because we are aware you have been budgeting for 4% automatic annual increment, and our members have not been getting. If you thought that Uwasu members would not go on strike, why are lecture halls empty? Why are lecture halls empty? Now go and teach them. Go and teach them. Hey. You cannot joke with the people who have gone to school. Lecturers have gone to school. You can't cheat them. Go and teach them now. Hey, we have refused to go to class. Go and teach them. That you are scaring us with the sacking. Dons can teach anywhere in the world. Don't scare us. We can teach anywhere in the world. You don't scare us with sacking. And we are very few. We are very few. Dons are very few. Unacheza na sisi. Thank you very much. Okay. I want, therefore, as the Secretary General of the University Academic Staff Union, Dr. Constantine Wasonga Opeo, PhD, LLB, Hons, LLM,
PhD. CBA.
CBA.
Return to work formula.
Return to work formula. Have declared the strike officially launched.
Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. We shall never be divided. We shall never be divided. We shall never be divided. For the union makes us strong. Weka hivi. Weka hivi. Weka hivi. Dinandi. 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 CBA. 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 No mutilation of the tables, Buchakos. No mutilation of the tables, Buchakos. No mutilation. CBA. CBA. Dinandi. Dinandi.
Meet, if you have any questions, please, you can ask quickly. We are leaving for much later.
About 2021-2025 CPA, well, we know other departments are talking now 2025, 2026, 2027.
Kesi yako inahusu nini ilifanyika kwa 818 address kuna kama ina kama Asia sasa mzee Asia kuna makaratasi yote
Unaweza kuwa na kayoga?
Nitoke.
Stringent procedures ambazo ziko zenye lazima mwenzako unakubali hiyo claim ni kweli iko ama hakuna, and then an order is made hiyo amount ilipwe. So to some extent, the small claims court can be a little bit expeditious. Umekamata. So kama uko na any small claims, nimekupatia nambari yangu ya simu.
Nitoke.
Hapo ni. Unaweza introduce?
Naitwa Korea Sheria.
My name is Maureen Wanjiru Mureithi. I'm the current chairperson, Nyahururu Law Center. We are under Rift Valley branch and under the Law Society of Kenya. This week we are going to be having our Legal Awareness Week to run through the week up to the 1st of November 2024. The theme of this week's Legal Awareness is empowering the public, the citizen in public participation. We shall be having a legal aids clinic in which we'll be advising clients who walk into our tent, ask questions regarding the law. We'll also be answering questions regarding what is public participation and on the uses of our courts. And finally, on Friday, we'll be having our prison visits at the Nyahururu prison that hosts both Laikipia and Nyandarua County. You are all invited to participate. During this time, the services we'll be offering free legal services to our members of the public. In this aspect, you are allowed to walk into our tent, whereby you are allowed to ask any question regarding the law. Remember, we are saying law for the people. It's law for the people, by the people. You are allowed to ask any question, be it anything that is touching on the Constitution, any law that is you do not understand, and equally we'll be answering questions on the procedures of how to use our courts. Remember, nowadays the system we're having both the hybrid and the virtual sessions. That is a hybrid session whereby we're having both the physical sessions and the virtual sessions. To most of the common 190, it's they are yet to grasp on how the procedure and especially on the virtual session is being done, because even filing is being done in most courts virtually, which you have to online. So you are supposed to file your document, to follow up, and the procedures of in virtual sessions and also the physical sessions. Majorly, the questions you are getting today is on the procedures of the courts, on various legal issues that people are going through, and also on what public participation is and how it's supposed to be done, and what is public participation in itself. And we are able to attend to our clients, advise them, and even educate them on what public participation is and how it's supposed to be done. Yes, you will find, like, I'll give an example of Nyahururu Law Courts. We have this is a court that carries both especially even our high court. Our high court is carrying both Samburu County. We have part of Nyandarua County. We even have part of Subukia County that is managed, is under the supervision of the Nyahururu Law Courts, over and above Nyahururu town on itself. So we have, like, you find that you have a majority of cases. We also have a situation whereby litigants are filing cases by their own. They do not understand the procedures of the law or the procedures that are supposed to be followed by the court. And without proper knowledge on how the laws are supposed to, the procedures of the law courts, you'll find that their matters are dragging over and above the courts having so many cases to deal with. So now what you're doing is advising them on how to ensure that their matters are fast-tracked. This is by following up. You can follow up with the registry, ensure that you have legal counsel. As an advocate, I'm able to follow up on your cases and ensure that the same are fast-tracked. But there is no court that will deliberately delay any matter, because any delay of matters occasions a delay of justice, and that is even against our constitution, which provides for timely and expeditious timely and expeditious resolution of matters. Also, you will find that the constitution has given us a mandate to explore other avenues like mediation to resolve matters, among others. But then the public is not aware of such out of court settlement. So what we are doing, we're also educating them and also advising on the procedures to be followed when you're doing mediation. That's another way of ensuring that the matters are fast tracked. Yes.
Imekuwa ni maandalizi ya chama cha mawakili nchini kote, na hasa katika practice center ya Nyahururu wamepangilia kukuwa na wiki ambao watajadiliana na wananchi wa hii eneo, wale ambao wanachumika katika kuwa na kesi kotini na wale ambao labda ni wapita njia, kwa ajili ya kuelezea kuhusiana na masuala ya kisheria, zile mipangilio ya kufuatilia kesi zao na procedures ama zile hatua ambao mtu anafaa kufuata wakati anafuatilia kesi yake. Hii inatarajiwa kwamba mwisho wa wiki ambao itakuwa tarehe 1, wananchi watakuwa wamepata ujumbe ambao unawezesha wao kuelewa sheria na haki zao kulingana na katiba yetu. Pia ni katika ile tunaita kama corporate social responsibility kupitia wanachama wa Law Society kujaribu kupeana kidogo tu kwa jamii, wale ambao ni wateja wao, maelezo ambao kawaida wakiwa wameenda kwa ofisi yao watahitaji kulipia ili waweze kushauriwa na hizo kuhusiana na kesi zao. So wananchi watukufu wanakaribishwa kwa ajili ya kuja kuelezewa kuhusiana na mambo ya kisheria na kuchumuika na mawakili wa eneo la Nyahururu, na pia tutapata nafasi kama mahakama kuchumuika nao kupitia wenzetu ambao tunasaidiana nao kuelezea zile taratibu ambao tunafuata katika kusikiza kesi na kufanya maamuzi na kupeana usaidizi ambao labda mmoja ama wawili wataweza kuwa wanahitaji.
Jina langu ni Kwamboka Jacinta from Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, Central Regional Office, ambayo iko based Nyahururu Town. Tume ya kitaifa ni a national human rights institution who mandate yake kuu ni kulinda na kutetea haki za kibinadamu. This week ni Legal Awareness Week. That's the entire week ambayo tumejiunga na Law Society of Kenya kupeana huduma kwa wananchi. Hii huduma kwa wananchi ni kuwaelimisha juu ya haki zao, pia kupokea malalamishi kutoka kwa wananchi. Tunapokea malalamishi ya aina nyingi, ikiwa kuna mtu ama mwananchi yote ambaye amedhulumiwa kihaki, anaweza tembelea ofisi zetu na maeneo yote ambayo tutakuwa katika hii wiki ili apate mawaidha na pia apate legal advice. Also, tuna visit different areas to educate people. Si malalamishi pekee ambayo tunapokea, pia tunaelimisha jamii juu ya haki zao. Vile tunajua kuwa jamii ambayo imeelimika kihaki inaweza kujiendeleza na pia inaweza kujua ikiwa wamedhulumiwa watatembelea ofisi zipi ili wapate usaidizi. Vile tuko hapa, mambo ambayo wananchi wameweza kuuliza ni kuna wale wanatutembelea ili waweze kujua hii commission yetu inafanya kazi gani, na tumeweza kueleza. Kuna wale wameleta malalamishi tofauti ambaye ni malalamishi ya watoto, malalamishi ya land, na basically what we've been receiving ni complaints zenye ziko related na land, children rights, labor rights, a range of rights. Yes. Jamii ikiwa imeelimika kuhusu haki, ikikandamizwa itajua kuwa nimekandamizwa. So it's easy to know. An educated and empowered community is able to know when their rights are violated. Yes. This wiki hii tunaelimisha jamii ili wajue haki zao mbalimbali. Kuna zile haki za their civic rights, that's civil and political rights, their economic and social rights.
demanding passenger and petroleum products that remain resilient. Application that lubricants will contain is a big challenge in illicit, already been mentioned by the chair, by the DG, percent increase compared to the similar tons consumed between January to June, 8% growth annually 2023 compared to 2020. This demand in kerosene, as you can see, kerosene has had a 15% average growth. We anticipate that with enforcement, so this is just to touch on 1.8% in decline in the reseller segment in 2024. Growth in the energy sector due to a decline and overall and Kenya Petroleum and Ola maintain their positions.
Who has been with us, we'll deal with them from the office. We've received that notice. We cannot make it very clear. So, PS, please.
Yes, it's also what we use. It's also what we use to educate and sensitize various stakeholders in the gas sector, but also beyond the oil and gas sector. And it's become a very popular publication across the globe because we also have a version. It was an innovation after COVID because we had to keep on going also in the region and also for investors who want to know. Thank you very much so much. Excellent. We have a few copies for those who made it our e-version, which nothing is taken away from it. Ayuba presented. Excellent. So I'll hand it back to you, Chairman, to just give the last.
And you've had it. I think we are together and we will continue. Is the members have had it, the members. And I know the honorable directors, captains of the unit, the formal process of airing our views. It's Bwana, you know nowadays we are together in CS. We are now one industry and we articulate much. So with those
The importance of the petroleum sector in our economic development cannot be gainsaid. Cannot be gainsaid. And I dare say, even with the drive to go green, this is now again the currency globally, I still foresee a very, very bright future for this sector. And therefore, I want to take this opportunity, first and foremost, to thank you and to congratulate all of you for the resilience you have exhibited that enabled you to be where you are presently in the face of many odds. So your resilience has come in handy, not only for yourselves and the sector, but also for the government and the people of Kenya. So keep it up, and thank you very much. The DG and his team have done a very good job in terms of developing regulations, which are subsidiary legislation. A number of those legislations are currently sitting with the Attorney General's office. A number of them are in my office for the usual review, and we shall be processing them as time goes by. But there are two key ones which I want to mention, perhaps two relevant ones.
or one of course has been spoken to, the issue of the matter of the petroleum LPG regulations 2024, which is long overdue, and we are raising against time to have them enacted to help us regulate the LPG sector or space. It's the government's policy that we increase the uptake of LPG. Okay? And in the coming months and years, we shall be relying on you, members of the DIA, to help us drive this agenda, this very, very progressive agenda of LPG. So those regulations are currently moving to the AG's office. Actually, I signed them off last week when I did. The other piece of legislation is the Petroleum Retail Station Construction and Licensing Regulations of 2024. This one is actually with the AG, and I suppose they should be finalizing with them. And very soon I will be gazetting them before Parliament can get seized of them in the normal manner. What is interesting in this particular regulation, Mwanadiji, is that we are trying to enforce a minimum radius between retail stations of 1 kilometer. And this, I suppose, is going to help us address the issues of the mushrooming of stations that eventually make it unviable, really. So we must have some order, and we shall be very strict as a ministry in enforcing this once the regulations are gazetted.
The oil industry is well organized, and I say it with pride. And we jointly address issues objectively by advocating for conducive business environment, directly engaging with the ministry and other departments and agencies on matters, policies, and regulatory framework and standards. We understand the great responsibility that is bestowed, given that even with the transition to renewables, the petroleum energy remains a pivotal in primary energy mix. Hence, the industry continues to play a key role in the Kenyan economy. I'm told that our contribution in domestic revenue through tax could be in the range of 35%. That's significant. Industry is also a key contributor in local manufacturing, and especially for lubricants. And I will speak a few minutes about that. We have lubricants, greases, and of course, the LPG, which is a key drive by the government this period. As an industry, speaking on LPG, we anticipate, or we are participating fully in the government agenda of doubling the per capita consumption of LPG in the next 3 years, and we are together in that journey. Inside here is a team of investors who are looking forward to participate in that, and Honorable CS has mentioned when we paid you a courtesy call, we have the legislative framework to help us drive that growth. We've been working very closely with EPRA, represented by DG here, to make sure one thing is there for our investors to believe and invest, is the enforcement of LN 100. With full enforcement of LN 100, there should be no reason why we cannot transform and grow the LPG business as expected, or even earlier. So we seek your support in that perspective to make sure that we continue to win against the misuse of assets from the investors. If I speak on lubricants, CS, we have manufacturing plants. These manufacturing plants in Kenya can supply the entire of East and Central Africa, and all that we need is to enhance the legislative framework. We are glad we've already started seeing some movements around some East African common tariff arrangements to help in the base oil. We're looking at other areas of duty remission that would help these manufacturing entities be able to have enough cash to continue to invest, and they are key employers. On what this industry is doing is, Bwana CS, we are directly employing over 100,000 Kenyans, directly, as an industry. We have a support network of over 6,000 petrol stations, branded or unbranded, across the country, which support the small and medium enterprises across. We have over 50,000 petrol attendants. We call service station attendants, some call them service champions that you see in the stations. We support over 4,000 petroleum tankers and 1,800 within the East African community and over 1,800 in Kenya. And the structure, Bwana CS, is such that these businesses are not vertically integrated. We, as an industry, operate to integrate other businesses to work with us. So when we say petroleum tankers, these are contracted Kenyan transporters who join us in the business of transporting fuel. When we talk of service stations, they are run by Kenyan dealers who are part of the ecosystem. So the full ecosystem is very involving when it comes to the Kenyan economy, and especially the small and medium enterprises.
Oh, asante sana.
For the state, I came here with my team to assess the status of the rollout of the universal health, which of course you are aware that we started from 1st October. Today is the 30th day. It's simply like a month since SHA started offering services. So we have had a conversation with the staff, with the management, with the representative of the board, and as government we are happy that the progress that they have made is good enough in terms of ensuring that the services across the country is offered in a manner that was stated earlier. 2-3 things that we discussed here. Number one is to continue enhancing and hastening the rollout. As you are aware, this is a rollout where we are implementing the law, we are rolling out the services at the same time, correcting few areas here and there when it comes to the system, when it comes to reorganizing ourselves on the facilities, and also at the same time providing services. So we have been briefed properly. We are happy. About 95% of the facilities in this country, cutting across from dispensaries to level 6s, have been supplied with the devices that are supposed to be used for. Number two is the issue of human resource. We have had discussion. there has been apprehension, there has been anxiety, there has been a bit of tension between by the members of the defunct NHIF, the staff that were working with NHIF. So, but we have given them very clear assurance that no one will lose their job. SHA, as we speak, we have only one staff in the name of acting CEO. So the entire staff complement of SHA has not been filled. And the people who will be given priority and the people who deserve first priority are NHIF staff. So that is the assurance that we have given them. They have told us their fears, they have shared their also anxiety, but we are assuring them, and we have assured them, and we are assuring anybody across the country that NHIF staff will not lose their jobs. Not a single staff will lose their jobs. Since SHA is highly digitized, SHA may take slightly less numbers than NHIF. And that is why, as government, we say we are going to run through all the staff through what we call suitability test once SRC has approved the salary structure. So we'll run through the suitability test, fill the positions, and those perhaps who don't manage to be onboarded will be deployed to institutions of government, to ministries, to other parastatals and other agencies, so that at the end of the day, 100% retention will be assured. So that is very key. The third issue that came out clearly is the issue of misinformation, the issue of resistance, and the issue of issuing inflammatory statements by many people across the country. You've seen many a times, you hear people, the patients have been refused services, the patients have been forced to pay, and all that. But the stuff that you are seeing behind here and the reports we are getting from the ground is that there are some facilities, hospitals, that have not contracted with SHA. So they are not in the system. So every other time when a patient goes, because perhaps they are not aware, they demand payment. But a SHA contracted facility has not demanded payment whatsoever. On that issue again, we've been told, or they have been reporting, wrongly so, that there are patients that have been denied, released, they have not been discharged, all that. Sometimes it takes a little bit of a while because of the system. Perhaps the system becomes slow, or some failure sometime. But eventually people are being released, people are being discharged. And we have instructed across the country, whenever there is a system failure, we can use manual process to discharge a patient. A patient should not stay an hour longer, a day longer. They have to be discharged as is required. As we speak, SHA has been meeting its obligation when it comes to maternity, when it comes to infant care, when it comes to other services that they are offering. And you can see, you can be given the details, that even there are claims from facilities, either faith-based, either private hospitals, either government hospitals, that are being processed for disbursement to these institutions. So, as far as we are concerned as government, we are happy at the speed at which SHA is rolling out its services is phenomenal, because 30 days and we are almost 95% covered when it comes to devices. We are good when it comes to private hospitals, and we are onboarding more hospitals, more faith-based. All dispensaries, level 2 to level 3, are offering services without any disruption. So that is actually what we came to discuss here, and the staff behind here have gotten that assurance that they will be transited to SHA and no one will lose their jobs. Thank you. Ubarikiwe. No question. Okay.
The policy goal itself is we want, of course, we have signed many other commitments, which you will see in a short while, and upon which the policy is anchored. And for that reason, then, this policy would just ensure that we are establishing a care system that supports the well-being and dignity of all Kenyans. This means men and women, boys and girls, in different across all localities, recognizing and rewarding care work, which Joan mentioned there earlier. And so when you look at the key objectives there, they're actually all about the 5 R's. How do we recognize and value and pay care work? How do we redistribute it and, of course, reduce through that? Of course, when we do that, we are the multiplier effect there is, of course, we're going to gain gender equality and, of course, empowerment of women and girls. The promotion of reward and representation when it comes to once we recognize and value it, then it's possible that we can be able to have frameworks that would help us reward it accordingly and ensure institutions like Udenia and others, the voices of those providing care are actually represented well. And most importantly, that the government of Kenya, both at the national and the county levels, will be able to provide public care systems, and so that care becomes a public good and not an individual responsibility. And the government then must be on the lead as far as responding to the issues of care is concerned. A quick thing that I want to mention there, is that this policy is not just going to be out of the blues. It's based on the Constitution of Kenya. It's also based on the Kenya NPP4, Vision 2030, and the current NPP4, when you read it closely, is actually having our own provision on how to respond to unpaid care and domestic work, on how to recognize it, reduce it, and of course the kind of investments that the government is going to give in terms of budgetary allocations throughout each financial year. For that then to happen, the next session will tell us when it comes to including care in the national system of accounts, which is one of the most important outcomes that we want to get by the end of this session and many others. Kenya also has the Kenya Women's Economic Empowerment Strategy. In there, it's of course providing for recognition of care and domestic work. And of course, we have many other instruments, as you can see over there. The Beijing platform, which, and again, Kenya right now, we have already done our report as far as the Beijing Plus 30 is concerned. Therein, the government has recognized the effort and including this policy framework and many others that we will skip now. Now, there are 10 key policy areas, because someone might wonder, if this care that we're talking about, how does it then sit with other institutions that are providing care? Our policy here, or this policy, the National Care Policy, has 10 areas. One of it is the measurement of unpaid care work. And this means that subsequently, KNBS and other entities will be doing or conducting regular time use surveys based on what we've already done, the baseline we have. Then we'll be seeing how are we performing. But most importantly is integration of unpaid care work into the national accounts, and of course having the household account for these particular elements, so that eventually there will be a way of investing in it. There's a way of building even a case around the government to see the essence of investing in care. Number two that this policy recognizes is, of course, speaking to employment policies and the regulations that exist, whereby we would want to strengthen more, especially the labor law, in terms of implementation, in terms of even developing bilateral sort of relations, knowing that, of course, the care workers that we export, they are actually safe. And most importantly, establishing what we call the Social Welfare Fund for the Kenyan women working abroad. And this is actually part of the better approach by the government. When you look at the 9-point agenda on women, establishing this fund is right in there. So it's actually helping the president of the time to achieve his agenda on and for women. Number 3 is on social protection, and you might wonder, why is this here? Social protection actually, when you look at those that are providing care, if you are providing care, social protection measures that we have in the country right now, they are able to support that stipend which you know, to the older elderly, for example. But these elderly do not take care of themselves. Someone takes care of them. And so we would want a social protection mechanism that also recognizes the caregiver. And for that reason, then, we want to see how then this policy going to influence the implementation of what we call universal pensions for care workers themselves, so that we are the care receivers, but also the care providers or the workers. And this means establishing what we call a cash for care benefits for the caregivers. And this can only be done by the government. Action area number 4 is childcare. And a lot of the team members that have spoken are from the childcare space. And then we want to have a legal framework for childcare facilities at the county levels, because there is that function at the county level. But that starts at 4, ECD. But we have children of under 4 years. What are we going to do about them? Then we also would want to advance this, because care is actually a skill. Some people would say that care work is unskilled work. But for you to know even how to soothe a crying baby, that's a skill. For you to know how to cook, for many members of our family, that's a skill. And so the way we train those that we're exporting is the same way we would wish that even those domestic workers that we have here are also trained, and there is certification to that. And when it gets to that level, with your certificate, then you are even able to get better pay. Now, there is an element of healthcare, infrastructure, and domestic work. Those are the 10 areas that, of course, this policy is focused on, recognizing what else is happening within other ministries, departments, and agencies. As I come towards the close, then, we ask ourselves, what's the economic and social impact of care work? Even as we celebrate this day, there are a few things. One that I want to mention is that the figures have been given here. That when you look at, you're talking about 9% of unpaid care work, this would mean unpaid care work would actually amount to 9% of the global GDP right now. And of course, this figure was even up some time back. And this then means when you give it a value that is devoted, and of course there's the formula on how to calculate this, we're going to hear that as we move on, then it tells you that even us in the country here, of the numbers that Kudehi has mentioned, those people, the numbers are so many. And so those numbers, if they can work and earn decently, they can contribute to the economy so much. And that when we have that formula, we'll be able to see how much of that contribution comes into this country. And of course, that's the language most economists would love to hear. And on that same note, then I want to say this. The social effects would be more. For example, of course, caring for children would affect work schedules, impacting women negatively when it comes to income-generating opportunities, distraction about, especially for women in the informal sector, that hence decreasing their productivity, and of course, long hours we've seen, and even those schedules at times affect the relationships within the family and the element of time poverty. Now, I was asked, Florence asked me to see what's happening elsewhere. And have a quick examples here. One, when you look at, for example, the European Union Commission, they will, of course, put together what we call a European care strategy for caregivers and care receivers. And that strategy gives guidelines and recommendations for comprehensive, quality, and affordable care services. And of course, in our side, what we've been able to do as Kenya, of course, is to have the Tyrell survey. which we are using now as part of the data that is informing the care policy which we are developing at the moment, and many others that are coming in. When you cross over to Egypt, Egypt has come up with what we call the Egyptian Labor Code. And this, of course, is whereby employers, if you have more than 100 employers in the workspace, you have to provide care facilities and such like things. Of course, in Kenya, again, we have our Breastfeeding Act of 2024, which obligates employers to support breastfeeding mothers who are, of course, employees in those workspaces. When you cross over to Bosnia, there are actually what we call a law on parents caregivers, which of course was adopted back in 2022, and you see there it's recognizing that providing care for a person with disability is also one. And so is providing care for the elderly and care for any other people who are actually invalids. And so that is quantified also as one. And then that means you are entitled to what a regular kind of monthly allowance. And who pays that? It is the government. When you cross down to South Africa, they have the Domestic Workers Act, which establishes a minimum wage and defining work conditions. Sort of the ILO 190 here is actually domesticated fully, and of course that. When you cross over to the Philippines, they also have a Domestic Workers Act, which is a very comprehensive document that provides for the protection of domestic workers against abuse, debt, bondage, and the worst forms of even child labor. And most of the domestic workers in Kenya, if they were given time to speak, they are facing a lot of abuse within our homes. Then of course there has to be a law that provides those protections, that sets minimum standards for the wages, number of working hours. But of course in our side, in our case, we have to contextualize these things, because the minimum wage is about 15,000 shillings. And maybe you are not even earning that 15, or even if you are earning 20, with all these kind of taxations you might not be able to afford. Then what is that as commensurate to the conditions in this country? Cross over to Morocco. Morocco have what they call the Gender Responsive Budgeting Center of Excellence. In there they are able every time to ensure that governments report on how gender responsive were their budget lines. And this would definitely hold the Treasury, of course, into give it a level of responsibility to ensure there is clear provisions on reducing, redistributing, and of course recognizing, rewarding care work through the process. Lastly, we have a few points in terms of call to action. And so number one is this day can be better commemorated today and next year and even in between by us moving faster to actually finalize, adopt, enact the Kenya National Care Policy, and thereafter being able to institutionalize it. In this case, institutionalizing and paid care work into the national account system or system of accounts to accurately reflect its economic value and elevate its importance in national planning. Number two is that all of us who are here, the stakeholders, the government, and everyone else, to create a supportive working environment that allows both men and women to share care responsibilities effectively. And this is not just about men and women, but also between families and state agencies as well. Establishing universal pensions for care workers, the cash for care programs, and expanding social protection coverage for the elderly, for the PWDs and the caregivers themselves. This would be a big milestone. Another call for action is to set up what we call a fund to sort of invest in child care centers, especially for children under the age of 4, and ensure that these centers are regulated and accessible. At the moment, there is lack of regulation when it comes to that particular category. Action number 5 is to increase, this is speaking to the government, the access to palliative care, mental health resources, and long-term home-based care services with support networks, again, even for informal care givers. That means recognizing them as well. Reduce time poverty for women and girls by providing accessible labor-saving technologies and even incentivizing them so that even those the lower part of the economy can be able to afford, hence freeing themselves time for even leisure and other productive activities. We would also want to call upon the government to see how to integrate care and gender equity topics into the primary and secondary sort of school curriculums to shift socio-cultural norms. Oxfam has done a very wonderful job in trying to create alternative narratives, shifting narratives on unpaid care and domestic work. We would need to be socialized with those as well and take them all the way to the family level. Lastly is that we need to set up a comprehensive M&A system which would help to track policy progress and of course assess impact, so that next time we seek to look at the economic impact and the social impact, we have figures that we can actually articulate that we are making progress and our policy could even mature and metamorphose into a law to ensure that these things are in existence in the law. And the first that I began with is let us all support the finalization, enactment, and of course full operationalization of the Kenya National Care Policy.
Thank you so much. Before I call the next presenter, I want to recognize Diana from Gates Foundation. Karibu sana and feel welcome.
We are reviewed in terms of outpatient care work on the road. So in that case, we know what medical is. It's an issue of talking about both the paid care and the unpaid care. We need to have what we are calling we need clarity in terms of data which can tell us how we move forward. So under this, the whole of that clarity can come from what we already have, what we are calling the Kenya time use data, which came to fill the gap that we are talking of. This clarity that we are seeing inequality at the end. We have interventions. Why is it so? So we need them to help us realize why are things the way they are. So in that case, we are saying that we have Kenya time use data which has come to fill that gap. Yeah, so the Kenya time use data, just as previously, was done by KBS, of course, with other partners. It was informed by KBS taking this kind of work. Was kind of informed by the kind of discussion that KBS had in various global and regional discussions, especially discussion relating to achieving the SDG target 5.41, we talk about measuring having data to measure issues to do with gender equality. Another key motivator for KBS to undertake the time use data was informed by researchers who are participating in global work that leads to measuring the unpaid work of both men and women. Yeah, so those are key areas that they motivated KBS to do that, to take that one. So I don't think I need to go back to this. We have already gotten from the previous presenter that KBS was the KBS passed Kenya National Time Use Survey in 2021. And the beauty of that survey is that it captures the national perspective of time use, the county perspective of time use, and also areas of residence, that is rural and other. So it's been that we can do a lot of analysis, who should now tell us whether we are achieving any progress in rural areas, in urban areas, at county level, so meaning that where is it behind? So let me do an intervention. We can easily see whether it is progressing or not progressing because we already have a baseline data. Yeah, that we wanted to know the level of understanding and also the level of use of time use data in Kenya. Of course, not only in Kenya, but we had like 4 more countries. We had Mongolia, we had Senegal, we had South Korea, and Kenya. So these were the 4 case studies. And the idea or the objective of the case study was to examine the experience in the implementation of health use survey for Kenya 2021. Of course, the specific objectives was to analyze the awareness of time use data among stakeholders, also get the knowledge of time use data in Kenya. How do people, the stakeholders who deal with gender issues, what is the end of the knowledge in terms of time use data? Then, of course, the issue of are they utilizing time use data currently in Kenya. And of course, a key important area was to know, okay, you have the data here, but how do you engage with the policymakers? Because we are saying that if we are able to have any impact or any policy, then it must be driven by the policymakers, they must know what they are going to implement, and also they must be in a position to support the implementation and also to understand how implementation is going to affect the ultimate goal of whatever policy you have. Then of course, they also wanted to know, do we have challenges in terms of the use of this data, in terms of even the survey, the instrument itself, which can be improved. Yeah, so those are the key objectives, specific objective of this case study. So we never really adopt. So the case study adopted a collaborative, they were a collaborative design where you collect data from key formats, and we purposely selected 22 stakeholders, and they use what we call the key respondents for all the others should note in that we did not ask the same questions to the key stakeholders because they do different things. For example, when we talk about CSOs, is the way they utilize the data. So some of the questions could be different depending again on how they were answering key areas. The same also would apply to policymakers, also the academicians and the KBS. Yeah, so very simple. Put the data aside, 22 respondents, and we selected the participants in a what we call a slow boring kind of strategy, where we had looked at the gender forums and the discussion, then we tried to get who are involved in that. Then also from the advisor's office would also give us people who are stakeholders who also deal with what we are calling the journalists. So mainly, and when we come to academics, so we also look at who are really dealing with gender issues, who are doing research in gender issues, so that at least we had a very broad kind of perspective in terms of achieving what the two data wanted to achieve. So very fast, let me go through the outcome of this. So in terms of awareness, it was a specific objective. We noted that, say like 4% of the respondents